I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we got to where we are, and then tell you a little bit about the structure of our student success plan. In 2005, when I arrived here, I was impressed, as the president is, with all the things that are going on Cerritos College's campus in regard to student success. And lots of people were doing lots of things, but as the president says, they were in silos. And I remember working with Bob Chester to resurrect, the then Faculty Senate president, to resurrect the Basic Skills Committee. And then when Brian Reese became Faculty Senate president in 2006, Faculty Senate started to have as a regular part of its agenda student success. And a student success plan began to emerge, and it was faculty driven. And I think that's the best kind of student success plan, one that the faculty are core participants in. Then as time went on, we hit spring 2009, and I remember this time very well. We had to present ARC data to the trustees. This was our third presentation. Our first two, we had pretty good ARC data, and our numbers were going up slightly, but they were still going up. But in the third year, our numbers did not look good. Most were down from the prior year. I think at best they were flat. And I remember the trustees had a very rich discussion about what should we do to change the direction of these numbers. And the trustees challenged those of us who are administrators and the faculty to come up with a plan to try to address the ARC numbers and to help them move in a positive direction year after year. And I really appreciate the fact that Brian, as Faculty Senate president, took that charge seriously for the faculty. And he and I have been working ever since 2009, and even before that a little bit, but it got serious in 2009. We put together a task force. Over 30 people from all different constituency groups participated. We put together a student success plan, and then the task force morphed into a committee, and now we have a student success plan that's embraced and endorsed by almost every constituency group on campus, including the Board of Trustees. Now, what does it look like? I think it's really a very interesting plan, and I like the fact that it's in circles that intersect. It deals with the 5 basic elements that we think are essential to having success for students. The first is student engagement. That's really what the students are the primary people who enact this part of the plan. They're not totally responsible for it because we have a responsibility to help them know how to become more engaged. And the iFalcon grant is really directed toward doing a lot of that. Then we focus on teaching practices. None of us, I think, are perfect teachers. My line is, until every student gets a legitimate A in every class, there's room for improvement. And so as long as there's room for improvement, we need to be talking about what can we do in our teaching practices to enable every student to succeed at the highest level. Some students need learning support, and so we talk about learning resources. What are we doing in terms of tutoring, in terms of supplemental instruction, counseling, all of the support activities that contribute to the student succeeding in the classroom. We look at academic infrastructure. We've got to have good classrooms. We've got to have good technology. It's all of those things that are part of the behind-the-scenes activities. Students shouldn't really even be aware of these. They should be automatic, natural, and understood part of the experience at Cerritos College. We've introduced, since I've been here, over 50 new smart classrooms, and we need still more, but that's an example of what we're doing. We've changed our course management system to one that does not require us to spend increasingly higher fees from Blackboard or WebCT or any of those proprietary groups. We now have Sakai, which is an open source course management system. And that enables us to use a system that won't bankrupt us and yet provide a good infrastructure for students. Finally, we look at programs. When I got here, and every time I go out and I'm in a doctor's office or a dentist office, I ask, where did you get your education? Because I want to know, did they get educated at Cerritos or did they know about Cerritos? And I often find, even if they didn't go here, they will say, oh yeah, I tried to get into Cerritos, but you have such a large waiting list, I really wanted to go there. Or no, I got my degree or my certificate at Cerritos. We have a lot of what I call signature programs at Cerritos. But like the president, I want every one of our programs to be a signature program so that every student in the LA Basin wants to come to Cerritos because our program in X is the best in this area and in the state and in the nation. Finally, what do we mean by student success? We look at it in two directions. First of all, we look at what are the students learning? What concepts, what skills, what values do they possess? And that's the whole point of assessing student learning outcomes. That's how we learn what students are learning. The second variable is achievement. What do they get? Do they get a degree? Do they transfer? Do they earn a certificate? And those are the things that are reflected in the ARC data. We want the ARC data to improve, but ARC data is not the whole story. Learning is the other part of the story, and that's why student learning outcomes are so important, so that we can assess, are our students learning what we think they should learn when we offer the classes and the programs and when they get a degree or transfer from Cerritos.